How's it going? Welcome to Chats with Spencer. My guest this week is a Super Mario 64 speedrunner, but he does things a little bit differently. He does his run blindfolded. He is Bubsia. He has done his speedrun on the two biggest stages in speedrunning, Summer Games Done Quick and Awesome Games Done Quick. I'll put a link to those runs in the description below. I had a great time talking with Bubsia, so sit back and enjoy my interview with Bubsia. All right, Bubsia, thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited to have you here today. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
No problem. So, Bubsia, maybe we can just kick it off with, maybe you can give us a little more background about yourself. So just let us know where you grew up, what kind of kid you were, and just the things you were interested in.
So I grew up in Germany in a fairly small town, like
Okay,
not a small town, but like a residential area
okay.
in front of a bigger town. And yeah, I would say I was rather the quiet and shy kid. Um, Definitely more like the introvert kind
Okay.
of kid. And since very young age, I was really into video games because of my brother, probably. It's really fun because we have like family pictures where I am really still like a toddler and I sit there with like an N64 controller and playing with my brother next to him.
Hmm. Well, I guess maybe we can just elaborate more on that. So, your video game story. What consoles did you grow up with, and what game really was the game that made you fall in love with video games?
My favorite consoles to this day, probably, and the one that I grew up with
Mm,
mostly was the N64,
mm,
definitely. Um, we had a SNES
okay.
also when I was very young, but my brother sold it one day on the flea market, so I couldn't play that much with it.
Hmm.
But our N64, we had like many games that are still like classics considered today, like Smash 64, I don't know, Bomberman Hero, Super
Oh yeah.
Mario 64,
Mm, mm.
like all the classics. And I think those really stuck with me all the way till now.
Is there a song, Bubsia, that maybe your parents played, or someone in your family played, or you heard on the radio, but for some reason you remember this song so vividly right now?
Mm, a song. It's a good question. Honestly, not really. I think like music wise, I
Hmm.
didn't have that many like big influences. I usually just listen to like whatever happened around me. But there is like not really a specific song that I can remember now.
By any chance, do you remember if you ever bought an album, or asked for an album, or downloaded an album?
Yes, I did, but it was already in my like university times. I
Oh,
think
okay.
that
Okay,
was like
that's
my
fine.
first music buying. But yeah, when I got my first job and next to university, I bought some. It was, I think, from Netsky, a drum and bass artist. I was really into the drum and bass scene back in the days, and yeah, it was. I don't know how they. I think it was just like Netsky, and the album was
Mhm.
also called Netsky.
All right, Bubsia, if you could teach anybody, so they're not in the speedrunning community right now,
Hmm.
or and it can be anyone throughout history, dead or alive, but you're going to teach them about speedrunning. You're going to introduce them to the whole concept of speedrunning and get them into it. Who would you want to bring into speedrunning? And it doesn't necessarily have to be games you speedrun, but just the idea of speedrunning.
Ooh, so like in terms of like a person, for example, like a
Yes.
specific. Okay. Wow, that's a crazy question. Probably some like in general, I would definitely like to teach some people who have like a big reach or like had a
Hmm.
big reach back in the
Hmm.
days when like the whole gaming and uh like online gaming also started, that like speedrunning got a bit more like popular and accessible in
Hmm.
the long run. But then again, if you think about it, it's kind of also a good thing that it's kind of niche. So I would still need to think about that. Maybe not just like big influences, but honestly, just people around me, I think, or like
Okay.
even my younger self, because I started speedrunning very late. Like,
Okay.
I think it would be pretty fun, probably, if like it was like back in my teenage years or so, and
Mhm.
could tell myself like, yeah, dude, there is something called speedrunning. Um, yeah, but I think like my closer friends maybe, so there's like a bigger connection in this sense.
Okay, that's fair. So Bubsy, you mentioned in some other questions that you enjoy reading. Are there any particular genres you enjoy or authors that are your favorites?
I read many different kind of genres for sure, from like normal novels and to I had a phase where I read a lot of philosophy,
Okay.
like Nietzsche and Plato and I don't know whatever. But I'm my favorite genre to this day is just classic. I really like classical and especially poets too. Shakespeare is definitely one of my favorites.
Okay.
And I think one of my favorite books of him is A Midsummer Night's Dream. Um, but yeah, I really enjoy reading like older stuff.
And you mentioned, I guess, in your other questions too about anime, Evangelion. So I'm just
Mhm.
wondering, what got you into anime? What was the first one you watched, and like kind of like the evolution of your like tastes, I guess.
Yeah, although that's a long journey there.
Okay, all right,
Um,
that's good.
so yeah, when I was young, it was still like on TV. Like
Hmm.
after school, there was like
Yes.
we had like a one TV program which always had like Dragon Ball Z and One Piece and sometimes
Mm.
Naruto and stuff. So that's where it kind of started, where I just watched as a like casual, just like a few
Okay.
episodes here, a
Hmm.
few episodes there. And then when like high school started, I mean, I had like very good friend who also was into anime. So we kind of started watching One Piece like
Okay.
online
Hmm.
because we were like at the point where they only repeated the same stuff on TV always, and we
Yes.
wanted to know
Hmm.
more. So we started like watching the Japanese with Japanese subs and everything. So that was One Piece was definitely the first, and then it came into like the whole big shonen animes like
Hmm.
Naruto, and so yeah, many animes, and from there on it got like I don't want to say downhill, but I got more and more into the
Okay.
anime scene
Hmm.
with. And honestly, I have watched so many things since then, like all different kinds of genre, all different kinds of
Hmm.
shows
Hmm.
and movies and everything. But yeah, it gradually always became more and more.
What are your favorites, just off the top of your head?
um Evangelion,
Okay.
big favorite. I really like, it's a rather dark one too, but I
Hmm.
really like Technolize.
Hmm.
um Also, I still really enjoy Naruto.
Hmm.
um Very cool storyline, besides at the ending they kind of messed it up a bit, but let's not talk about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
um Also many like not gonna lie, many like girly romance animes are also pretty cute.
Hey, it's all good,
Like
man.
Kimi ni Todoke,
Mhm.
I can tell out of my head. But yeah, definitely every in all kind of
Mhm.
genres, I have something.
If you could travel back in time, like any point in
Mhm.
time, you're in a bubble, you're protected, you're invisible, but you can observe anything, where do you go in time and why?
Okay. Is it like a one-time thing, or can I visit like multiple, for example, scenes if I want to like view
Uh,
a collection of scenes?
Also, yeah, you could go with your collection.
Okay. It might not be very like anything big, but I always wanted to view like a collection because I was really into skateboarding
Oh, okay.
in my in my youth. No, but I was really into skateboarding, and I always wanted to have like a compilation of like every single time I like bailed or like fell down or something. I found it like super interesting. Like, how would it look from the outside? Because yeah, you can't see it yourself, but like a highlight reel of like, or like a fail compilation of myself.
What's the worst
Yeah.
injury you've ever got from skateboarding?
Um, I had my right leg, like my right ankle was broken and all the tendons were ripped.
Oof.
Um, and the doctor somehow didn't see that the ankle was actually broken. So I walked around for like half a year with like a very bad leg.
Oh, jeez.
And then I one day again went to the hospital and they said
Mm.
like, yeah, there kind of was some big issue on your leg. So,
Jeez.
but it somehow naturally grew back together. So
Okay.
now it's like all good.
All right, Bubs, we're going to change pace a little bit. I'm going to ask you some less in depth questions, but if you want to elaborate on any of these, feel free to
Mm-hmm.
let me know. So, do you have a favorite sports team?
Mm, not really. Morning of old breakdancing.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Spring or fall?
Wow, that's difficult. S- Fall.
M&Ms or Skittles?
M&Ms.
Would you rather go on an adventurous vacation or a relaxing vacation?
Adventurous.
If your next meal could be anything in the world, what would it be?
Pizza.
When you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted, if I remember correctly, I wanted to be a teacher always.
Okay. What's your go-to snack at the corner store?
Ice cream.
Favorite childhood TV show?
Inuyasha.
Uh, what are some of your all-time favorite video games?
Nier Automata, Kingdom Hearts, and yeah, these two.
Best video game storyline?
Nier Automata.
Best video game soundtrack?
Nier Automata.
What is the best speedrun you've witnessed in person or online?
mm,
Or both?
yeah, that's a honestly offline. Super Smash Bros. Melee, um, zero SSBM did Super Smash Bros. Melee the
Okay.
target break all the targets live
Mhm.
in RTA in Japan in 2019. I saw that offline. I was there, and that was really really impressive.
Okay. Who was your favorite skateboarder when you were into skateboarding?
I really liked Corey Kennedy,
Okay.
but then I kind of lost track of him. I don't know. That's the
What was
first
your?
name.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's okay. What was your favorite trick to do in skateboarding?
360 flips.
And what's the best trick you ever landed?
Um, a fakey 540 flip, maybe.
Sounds good. All right. So, Bubsy, can you tell us what draws you to speedrunning games?
For me personally, it's like about self-improvement kind of that
Okay.
it really is a hobby where you can like improve yourself and your skills. You see and you can really see like how every day of practice at some point at least pays off. And it's very rewarding in my opinion. That's kind of the main drive for me to like improve myself.
What was the first game you ever speedrun?
Super Mario
It
64.
was. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, for any viewers who are unaware, as Bubsy is, he speedruns, so that's playing games quickly, but he does it blindfolded. So, tell me what brought you to the whole blindfolded aspect of it? Was it you're just too good at speedrunning it normally that you just said to yourself, I may as well do this blindfolded because this isn't too easy.
It definitely was not like that.
Okay.
because what many people actually don't know is that I basically started with blindfolded before I did like normal speed runs.
Oh, interesting.
um, but yeah, it was like I think it was in like 2015 or so where I learned a speedrun for Super Mario 64 after like learning that speedruns at all exist.
Mhm.
So I just like learned a bit, a tiny bit, like the strats and all, but I never really did like runs or anything. I just like got into the speedrunning scene as like a viewer. I really like to
Mhm.
watch people speedrun. And in like 2 years later, I started instantly with blindfolded Super Mario 64
Oh, okay.
after seeing Runner Guy. He did like an Ocarina of Time 100% blindfolded challenge. And I saw that and I thought like this looks pretty cool. And I was
Mhm.
pretty bored at that time. So I just thought like, yeah, I want to try that, but I don't know where to start. So maybe I just take Super Mario 64 because I kind of have like some experience
Mhm.
with it at least. And yeah, that's where it all started. Then I did many, many games and runs and also speedrun visually now too.
Is it just quickly? Is it a frustrating process to learn blindfolded speedrunning? Just because maybe you think you're doing something, then you take off your blindfold and you just look and nothing actually happened.
It can definitely be
Okay.
very frustrating at points. Especially like a very good example was even today. Like I tried like a new run, a new category, which I like practice a lot for. I
Hmm.
like yesterday I all day practiced for it really hard, and then you try it out and yeah, it somehow doesn't work as you
Hmm.
expect, and you get stuck in like different places, and it just feels like, yeah, I've put so much time into it. It's like, Jesus, is this even like worth all this trouble? And but it after all, it at some point it will pay off. You just need to keep practicing and it will get there. So it can be frustrating, but if you have like a positive view on it,
Hmm.
it will always get better.
Bubsy, what's one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you were younger?
That's a very good question. Many things. No, but I think generally just like life attitudes, maybe to like try to like, I don't know, like try to like do your best in some
Hmm.
things where
Hmm.
I always like slacked off rather. For example, like in school and stuff, I mean, I was not bad in school or anything, but
Hmm.
I really didn't care too much. Whereas now I think like education and all these things are pretty important.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think kind of these general things rather.
Bubsy, do you have a video game memory that stands out to you as like one of your favorite memories? It doesn't have to necessarily be from speedrunning, but just
Mhm.
in general.
I have a very like unique memory at
Yeah, okay.
least because
Okay.
it's not maybe a favorite, but whenever I think about like one moment in gaming
Hmm.
that I have super in my brain and I don't know
Hmm.
why is the ending of Chameleon Twist on N64.
Okay.
I don't know. I was probably like sleepy and very young when I played it, or
Mm.
like my brother played it and I just watched him. I that's like it's like a hazy fever dream for me. But I always have this image on the credit scene where the character like runs up like a weird tree.
Okay.
And yeah, I recently replayed it too, and it was like, yeah, a normal video game, but I don't know, this memory is somehow really stuck in my brain.
So, can you tell us a little bit about being on the biggest speedrunning stage in the world, AGDQ? It was just, I guess, less than a month ago, but how was that experience for you?
Very good. I think it's definitely still very different because it was like online and not
Hmm.
actually there in person.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, on like in terms of online events, I've done, especially in the past few months, I have done like many
Hmm.
and a lot and even different kinds of games. So online events, I don't have to say like I got used to it, but like you get used to at least like this whole marathon setting that you only have like
Yes.
one try, one attempt to do
Okay.
this now.
Hmm.
So the stress level has kind of gone down from then. But what I have to say is on GDQ especially, it was very, very stressful because SM64, like my run, was a
Hmm.
bonus run. And
Oh, okay.
until the last minute, basically, like many people say always like, yeah, it has to come. Definitely they will meet like the
Hmm.
donation
Hmm. Hmm.
incentives for the run. But still, like not knowing like 5 minutes before that you will actually be able to run, it was pretty like me and my commentator were like in a call the whole evening, and
Hmm.
we're just
Hmm.
like, dude, it's rising, but there's still so much missing, and we are just like shaking about that kind of. So that
uh,
was a very good experience.
have you done the Super Mario blindfolded in a live setting before?
Yes, I
Okay.
have 1 year ago. Like it was exactly like 1 year ago, the 1 year before the AGDQ run. It was at a very, very small online marathon though, which had like, I don't know, like less than 100 viewers, I think. Um, and afterwards, right afterwards, a few weeks, I did it also at ESA, which is a
Oh.
rather big event too.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely marathon experience with this game.
Do you feel more pressure when there's a live audience behind you?
Honestly, not really,
Okay, that's good.
which is very strange. I
Hmm.
also I wouldn't have imagined it, but I once played in RTA in Japan with Deltarune blindfolded,
Hmm.
and this was like my first big event with like a big crowd behind me, basically. And I was like very worried at first that like, yeah, will I be able to hear like people clap? Will it distract me with my
Hmm.
audio cues and stuff? But I don't know why, but this event, I was like the calmest I've ever been while speedrunning. I don't know, it
Hmm.
was like a brain thing. It was like super calm, and I was like super having fun playing my
Hmm.
game. So yeah,
Bubsy, what's one thing you'd like to achieve in your lifetime, and that is not limited to speedrunning or video games, just in general?
I really would like to move and live in Japan.
Oh, okay.
It was always a big dream of mine.
Okay, Bubsy, can you let everyone know where we can find you on Twitch and social media?
Yes, on Twitch, I stream most of the week on twitch.tv/Babsia. And I also post all my PBs and all my achievements on YouTube. The same thing, youtube.com/Babsia. And otherwise, I am very active on Twitter. This time it's not /Babsia, it's /Babsia1 because
Okay.
some other person stole the username. Yeah, but those are the main sources. I also have a Discord server community there. We always like to hang around and talk a bit.
Okay, great. Then
So,
I'll make sure to post it in the description below.
all
And is
right,
there
thank you.
any marathons or anything you're preparing for in the near future?
Not yet. Some maybe secret announcements soon, but
Okay.
we will see.
Okay, great. Well, Bubsy, thank you so much for coming on. It was really cool hearing all your stories and just learning more about you.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for new videos every Tuesday and Friday. And please check out Bubsy out. Like I said, he speed runs blindfolded. You have to see it to believe it. It's one of those things. It's quite amazing. I don't think I could do what he does looking, so it's really impressive. Anyways, please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next video.